He's one of India's best-known business leaders, certainly among the most successful. Ajay Singh has transformed SpiceJet. He's taken a company from the brink of bankruptcy to enviable success at this stage. But in Davos, you're also here and looking at the broader picture of where India stands. We'll talk about SpiceJet later on, but tell me a little bit about the impact of India this time at Davos. Is there optimism about the economy?
You know, surprisingly, there is a lot of optimism about the Indian economy, and I think it's partly because of the fact that there is so much gloom and doom everywhere else. Uh, what's happening between US and China is something which is on everybody's mind. What's happening at Brexit, the fact that IMF is downgrading economic growth numbers for the next few years. I think all this actually helps India in a sense. That the fact that we are growing at 7.5% this year and likely to grow in that 7.5 to 8% number for the next few years. So being we are the fastest growing large economy in the world. The fact that we have such incredible achievements to speak
And
of.
the IMF has said that we are doing well in their report.
The IMF says that we are doing well and are likely to keep doing well.
Yes, precisely.
Not to say that that 7.5% number is anywhere near enough, but the fact is that we are a bright and shining spot in an otherwise pessimistic environment. And I think we need to make sure that we sell and we tell our story loudly and clearly to the whole world. You know, we just have incredible achievements to speak of in the last few years. We need for the world to know that. And I think that we have a great opportunity of actually, you know, I think deep within everybody wants to see that India is a significant counterweight to India in the year to China in the years to come. And surely, you know, we need to make sure that we make it count now.
Yeah, it's interesting that, you know, the road that we were just walking on, it's got so much of an India presence. It's got a Telangana area, it's got an Andhra Pradesh area. There are various pavilions belonging to India, several Indian companies. It's almost like a mini India over here. So the presence of big business in Davos to sell the India story is huge this year. I think, I mean, it's my first visit, but it seems to be striking.
No, absolutely. In fact, pretty much all the food that you see being given for free on this road is also Indian.
That's true.
Right?
Masala chai,
some
Davos.
masala chai and samosas and Indian biscuits and so on. So it's incredible. I think people are becoming increasingly aware of what India is all about. I think we need to tell our story more and more. I think there's enough and more capital in the world. It needs a place to go. And I think India has to be one of the most exciting places. You know, it is a bit of a cliche, but it really actually feels like the land of opportunity. Once you're here, you know, we hear so much gloom and doom sometimes in our own country when we are there. But when you come here and you see what's happening in the world around, I think India is doing exceedingly well compared to that, and we should be proud of that.
Let's talk about SpiceJet. Let's talk about that massive order for, 250 odd aircraft, $25 billion worth of purchases. Critics would say, not critics, but a lot of people would say that the aviation industry needs to grow, but where's the infrastructure? And that's not in your hands. Is that a problem for you? Where will you park these aircraft? Do we have enough pilots? Are the routes necessarily profitable? Do we have enough runways? How do passengers access airports effectively? Because all that ends up affecting you directly.
Well, firstly, this is a country of 1.3 billion people, only 3% of whom actually fly today. You know, this is like, it reminds me of 2002 and 2003, when we used to have just 2.8 million mobile phone connections in India, and China had 120 million. And people said to us, look, how the hell are you going to grow in India? Because where is the spectrum? Where is the infrastructure and so on? These are problems of plenty. India today is the fastest growing aviation market in the world. We've been growing at 15 to 20% over the last several years. Of course, when you grow at this rapid pace, you will run out of infrastructure, and you need to have a plan to build infrastructure. Sometimes we haven't been the best planners on this. Having said that, there is a lot of investment going into airports at this time. There is a Nirman scheme where the government of India is putting $20 billion into building airports. I think also there is this unique project which is called Udan, as you know.
And you were in Udan 1. because you saw that opportunity with smaller aircraft at that stage, and now other airlines are jumping into Udan too. So you actually saw that a long time ago. How's that
we
going?
saw
the
that
Udan?
we saw that just about everybody made a lot of fun of us when we got into Udan 1. People thought we had lost our minds.
Yeah.
But we felt that there was this terrific opportunity of connecting small towns which had never seen flights before. What this also does is it creates a lot of airport infrastructure. So there were all these airports which were sitting around all around the country and not being used. So we said to government that, look, instead of just going and spending your money in places where nobody wants to fly, go and spend your money where airlines actually do want to fly. And they came up with this wonderful scheme called Udan, where they actually incentivize airlines to fly, and airlines can choose the airports that they want to fly to, and that's where government spends its money refurbishing those airports. So suddenly, we used to have 75 airports in 2014, and today we have an additional 50 airports which are going to be added by the end of this year. So this is absolutely terrific creation of infrastructure, and beyond Udan, people will fly to these airports, and therefore there will be airport capacity in the years to come.
Yeah. You opened up Pakyong in Sikkim this time around. Lilabari also in Assam, I think, is another area, and a few other destinations. You're using the Q400 aircraft. You've ordered many more of them. Are the economics of these routes sound for you? Because under Udan, there is a cap on fares, and that should perhaps necessarily be the case. But how do the economics work?
Well, so far they have worked extremely well. We started flying to Porbandar and Kandla and Puducherry and Ajmer Sharif and Jalandhar and Kanpur and all these places. It's almost unimaginable that city like Kanpur, the industrial capital of Uttar Pradesh, had 0 flights.
Yep.
Jalandhar, the richest city in this country, had 0 flights. So we started flying into these areas. Ajmer Sharif, where so many people go for pilgrimage, 0 flights. Shirdi, 0 flights. Puducherry, Porbandar, Kandla, all these Pakyong and Nilabari, as you said, some of them strategic airports as well. So all these places, there is a huge amount of pent-up demand in India. People want to fly. People don't want to go to large cities to fly anymore. They want to fly from their own towns and get to destinations. Now, of course, some of the fares are capped, which is as it should be. But, for low-cost airlines, we actually have always got a bunch of seats which are low fare seats, and therefore those are the seats which come in under that bracket, and for the rest there is free pricing. So we found that by and large the scheme is profitable, and we want to do just more of it.
The 737 MAX 8 aircraft brings a great deal of efficiency in operations, but it's been in the news for all the wrong reasons of late. Is it a safe aircraft to fly? What would you tell passengers who board this aircraft?
Well, we have flown thousands of hours on this aircraft. It is a wonderful, wonderful aircraft. Not only does it consume far less fuel, it's about 22% less in fuel consumption, which is huge in today's world. Our engineering costs are low, so operations are great. It's also quiet, nice, safe aircraft with fantastic technology. It has had one accident, and that's what's created something of an environment, but it was a very simple issue. Really, it was a misunderstanding which led to that problem, and I think that's been fixed in terms of procedure. It really is a wonderful aircraft. You've just got to fly it to feel the difference.
Yeah, and your pilots, your engineering crews are fully abreast of that scenario which had taken place.
Oh, absolutely.
And you're well beyond that in terms
absolutely,
of your
absolutely.
operations.
And in fact, most pilots knew about this in advance of it happening. It just so happened that there was an incident, but it's one incident in the thousands and thousands of hours of flying. I mean, look at it this way. Look at the number of cars that go on the road, and look at the percentage of accidents that might happen. Air travel is amongst the safest modes of travel. You have one problem on an aircraft, the whole world gets to know. Think of the number of other kinds of accidents that happen by other modes of transport. Aviation is by far the safest way to travel, and the MAX is one of the most wonderful planes.
And comfortable.
And most comfortable, and probably the best technology that Boeing has ever come up with.
Sure. Will we see SpiceJet operate long-range routes in the future?
Certainly.
Will you move to a bigger aircraft?
Certainly.
Why would
certainly.
you do that,
See,
sir? You're doing so successfully now the way you are. Is expansion necessarily the way forward?
Let me just say that India has this historic opportunity of being an aviation hub of the world. We need to create airports, international and global hubs in our own country. We've traditionally, shipped these hubs across to the Middle East, to Dubai, to Abu Dhabi, to Singapore. Basically, allowed others to eat our lunch. We need to carry our own passengers, Indians from India, both within India and outside India. And increasingly, this has to be done by Indian carriers.
Yeah.
We need to build our own global airlines.
Yeah.
Today I was being asked at one panel what it is that, which are the foreign airlines that we need to get interested in India.
Yeah.
And which are the foreign airlines that need to help Indian carriers.
Yeah.
I think that paradigm is changing. We run amongst the most efficient airlines in the world today. And it's our turn to go and help those foreign airlines who are struggling for the most part. We will build our own Indian models, build our own global airlines, and go out and take up more of aviation around the world.
And low cost will be your model?
Absolutely. Low cost
So you
has
won't
to be
have
the model.
a first class on SpiceJet in the near
We
future?
will not have a first class on SpiceJet. We have something called a Spice Max product, which is 30 seats, which basically looks at creating a premium economy product with about 5-6 inches of leg room, priority check-in and bags out first, and we think that's about it. India will define its own product, and India will take that product to the rest of the world, both short haul, medium haul, and long haul.
Two final questions. A few months back, I interviewed you on biofuels. That was an experiment that seemed to work well. In the future, if that is to take off, then a lot of the sustainable development, the environmentally friendly technology we are talking about in Davos would come to the forefront. That's really essential, isn't it? Besides anything else, if the costs come down, it would help you in so many areas.
It's not only about costs. Of course, the costs will come down if you use biofuel, but it works for so many stakeholders. It works for farmers who can grow feedstock to produce this biofuel. It works for the government because it helps improve, they can get income sources to farmers who are, of course, an important political constituency. It works for all of us. So many of us. I mean, you were saying on a panel yesterday that so many of us are dying of environment, of air pollution, and we don't even know that we are dying of air pollution. Now, this is our contribution to that whole project. Aviation, which is known to be something which creates a lot of pollution. I think aviation should take the lead. The technology exists today. We don't have to do very much. We need to actually produce biofuel. We build refineries, we spend 70,000-80,000 crores. These plants cost 300-400 crores to build. Let's go build a bunch of these plants and make sure that we mandate that aviation in India must be operated on biofuel. Let's set targets. Let's say, okay, today we have 140 million people flying every year, and let's say that, okay, in the next 5 years we'll have at least 50 million flying on biofuel. We need to take the lead, much as we did in that Solar Alliance and trying to set targets for clean energy. We need to do it for aviation as well.
One final question. The really small planes, the seaplanes, that's another area which is exciting. Nobody has done it in a very large fashion in this country. Is that going to happen? Again, infrastructure, are people going to be attracted to it? What are some of the areas? What is your thinking on this, the future?
I think it will certainly happen. It will happen sooner than you imagine. The great thing about this is it needs little or no infrastructure. You can pretty much land wherever there is a pond of water. And so you don't need any runways, you don't need any expensive airports. It costs next to nothing. I think that we have this wonderful opportunity with the number of water bodies that we have in India, especially in inaccessible areas where you can't possibly go around building airports. You can just go and start landing planes. So we have, as SpiceJet, experimented with that, as you know. We flew our first plane. We landed it in Chowpatty. It was subsequently, used around the country. We did bid for, and in under Udan 3, government did open some routes for seaplanes. We have bid for those routes. We will be awarded those routes, and so the flights will start sooner than you imagine. We hope that within the next 12 months you will see.
And so you're going to be
flights.
acquiring aircraft for that. Have you placed orders already for?
We
a
are
few of
discussing
these?
those.
You're
We
in
are
the process.
discussing,
Mr. Ajay Singh, it's been a pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you, sir.
And always so positive about not just the sector that you're so closely involved in, but the overall India story, which really a lot more needs to be said over here. A lot has been done, but perhaps in the years going forward, we'll see a lot more of that. Thank you very much.
Thank
indeed.
you so much. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.